When I first met Chris Ernst in 1986, she was the queen of rowing. She was like an icon.
The water nearly ideal for rowing.
Chris was perhaps the great role model in my life.
Chris Ernst helped create an atmosphere in which women athletes could be serious about what they did and also be respected for what they did.
I chose to row because a very dear friend of mine at the time had gone off to California at college and wrote me back letters saying, I'm learning to row, it's so great, we get up at 5 in the morning and we run up and down the stairs with people on our backs and then we throw up and it's really cool, and it just sounded good to me.
Well, the training conditions of 1976 were a little different than they are now for the Yale women. The conditions were completely controlled by the men's schedules. Workouts in rowing they're often done in really horrible rain, and when the ice breaks in early February, they're done in the snow and in the ice. So when you come off the water in the middle of the winter workouts, you are drenched from the inside out because you've been sweating for sometimes up to 2 hours, and from the outside in by the elements.
Well, while we were not warm and happy and pink on the bus, we had plenty of time to talk about what we needed to do to get the attention of the university and let them know that we really wanted them to take us seriously. And we decided that what we would do is we would get a New York Times stringer to come and report that we had, made this protest.
In retrospect, everybody thinks it was such a funny event, but at the time it was not a funny event. It was very somber in that locker room.
We wrote Title IX on our chests and our backs.
Title IX was the federal law that essentially requires that athletic facilities in federally funded institutions be equally accessible to males and females.
19 of us filed down into Ray Tompkins' house to Johnny Barnett's office.
Then we took off our sweats.
Stood at attention while Chris Ernst read our statement.
About, these are the bodies.
These are the bodies Yale is exploiting. On a day like today, the ice freezes on this skin.
At the time, we had no idea what the impact would be.
That story got put the next day in the Times on the front of the second section. The other papers picked it up and so forth and so on.
Many letters that came in from alumni who had read the LA Times or the Paris Tribune or the New York Times or any of the other many papers in which it came up. Many of them contained checks that said things like, build those women a shower. Well, I think the really remarkable thing is that the protest had a ripple effect that went out now over decades.